Commander Hyunwoo Kim stood in the center of the Great Hall on Luna Station. Around him, floating screens showed the faces of alien beings from across the galaxy. Their eyes watched him with the same look they always had, like he was something small and unimportant. The Galactic Council had been meeting for 3 days. 3 days of talking about the same thing over and over. The Void Hunters were attacking more worlds each month. The Council needed more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. And as always, they wanted Earth to give more than anyone else. Hyunwoo looked at the main screen where Speaker Veltaris sat on his crystal throne. The tall blue alien had 6 arms and eyes that glowed like cold stars. His voice echoed through the hall when he spoke. The human worlds will provide 40% of their military forces, Veltaris said. His words were not a question or a request, it was an order. This decision is final. Dr. Sojin Park stood beside Hyunwoo. She was Earth's best expert on alien life and had spent 20 years trying to make peace with the Council. Her face was pale as she heard the speaker's words. 40%? She whispered to Hyunwoo. That would leave Earth almost defenseless. Hyunwoo's hands tightened into fists. For 50 years, humans had been part of the Galactic Council. For 50 years, they had given more than they received. Earth sent food to hungry worlds. Human engineers built roads and cities on alien planets. Human soldiers fought in wars that had nothing to do with Earth. What did humans get back? Old technology that other species no longer wanted. Seats at meetings where no one listened to them. The right to follow orders from beings who looked down on them. Speaker Veltaris, Hyunwoo, said, stepping forward. Earth has a request before we agree to send more forces. The alien's glowing eyes turned to him. Around the hall, other council members made sounds of surprise. Humans were not supposed to make requests during final decisions. Speak quickly. Human, Veltaris said. We want the council to help us build a defense shield around our solar system. The Void Hunters are getting closer to Earth. Our people are afraid. Veltaris made a sound that might have been laughter. Other council members joined in. The noise echoed through the hall like broken glass. Humans always think of themselves first, said Counselor Zethkar, a creature that looked like a giant spider made of metal. The galaxy is in danger, but you worry about one small world. Your technology is not advanced enough for such a shield, added Veltaris. Even if it were, the Council cannot waste resources on protecting worlds that contribute so little. Sojin Park's face turned red. Contribute so little? Earth provides 60% of the raw materials the Council uses. We grow food for 12 different species. Human doctors work in hospitals across the galaxy. And you are paid for these services, Veltaris replied. Do not act as if humans work for free. Hyunwoo felt something break inside his chest. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He had fought on worlds whose names he could not pronounce. He had seen human friends die for alien causes. He had followed orders from creatures who treated humans like servants. Not anymore. Then Earth is done, he said. The hall became quiet, so quiet that Hyunwoo could hear his own heartbeat. What did you say? Veltaris leaned forward on his throne. I said Earth is done. We are leaving the Galactic Council. Today. Right now. The silence broke like a dam. Alien voices filled the air, all talking at once. Some sounded angry. Some sounded shocked. A few sounded afraid. Veltaris raised all 6 of his arms. The hall became quiet again. You cannot leave the Council, he said. No species has ever left. It is not allowed. Show me the law that says we cannot leave, Hyunwoo replied. I have read the Council Charter. There is no such law. Dr. Park grabbed his arm. Hyunwoo, think about what you are doing. If we leave, we will be alone. No protection, no trade partners, no more orders from beings who hate us, Hyunwoo finished. No more sending our children to die in alien wars. No more begging for scraps of technology while we give everything we have. He turned to face the main screen where Veltaris sat. The alien's eyes were burning with anger now. Humans have been part of this galaxy for 50 years, Hyunwoo said. His voice carried to every corner of the hall. We have given our best. People, our resources, our loyalty. We asked for friendship and got orders. We asked for respect and got insults. We asked for help protecting our world and got laughter. He took a deep breath. Earth formally withdraws from the Galactic Council. We will remove our people from Council worlds. We will stop all trade agreements. We will recall our military forces, and we will defend ourselves. The hall erupted again. Aliens were shouting in languages Hyunwoo did not know. Warning lights flashed on the walls. Security drones moved through the air like angry insects. Veltaris stood up from his throne. His 6 arms spread wide like the wings of some terrible bird. If humans leave the Council, you will be enemies of the galaxy. We will not trade with you. We will not help you. When the Void Hunters come for Earth, you will face them alone. Then we will face them alone, Hyunwoo said. But we will face them as free beings, not as slaves. He turned and walked toward the exit. Dr. Park followed. Him, her face full of fear and something else, maybe pride. Behind them, the council chamber filled with chaos. 50 years of human membership in the Galactic Council had ended with one man's words. On Earth, President Tae-ho Lee received Hyunwoo's message 6 hours later. He read it 3 times before calling an emergency meeting. By morning, every human world knew what had happened. Some people celebrated in the streets, others hid in their homes, afraid of what would come next. But everyone knew that everything had changed. Humanity was alone among the stars. And for the first time in 50 years, they were truly free. The news hit the galaxy like a bomb going off. On the trading world of Nexus Prime, alien merchants watched their data screens in shock. The numbers were falling fast. Stock prices, trade values, resource contracts. Everything was turning red. This cannot be real, said Trader Vixnall, his 4 eyes staring at the screen. Humans cannot just leave. They provide too much. But it was real. Within 6 hours of Earth's announcement, the Galactic Banking Consortium froze all human accounts. They thought this would force Earth to come back quickly. They were wrong. On Earth, President Tae-ho Lee sat in his office, reading reports from across the galaxy. His secretary, Ms. Yoon-hee Nam, brought him cup after cup of coffee as the messages kept coming. "Sir, the Council has frozen our credits," she said. "I expected that," Tae-ho replied. "What about the backup plans?" "Finance Minister Dong Hyun-yu says everything is ready. We have been preparing for this day for 10 years. Tae-ho nodded. Not many people knew about the secret meetings, the hidden trade routes, the quiet agreements with non-council species. Humans had learned not to put all their trust in one place. Far from Earth, on the mining colony of Kepler 442b, Myung-han watched council ships surround her world. She was the colonial administrator, responsible for 3 million human miners and their families. The council ships sent a message. By order of the Galactic Council, all mining operations will continue under council control. Humans who resist will be arrested. Mi-young looked at the message and laughed. Then she sent a reply. By order of the people of Kepler 442b, council ships have 1 hour to leave our space. Aliens who resist will be shot. She was not bluffing. The mining colony had been preparing for this day, too. Hidden weapons appeared from underground bunkers. Fighter ships launched from secret bases. The miners put down their tools and picked up guns. The council ships had expected easy victory. They found a war instead. Meanwhile, Admiral Jae Sung-choi commanded Earth's fleet from his flagship in the asteroid belt. His ships were not as advanced as council vessels, but they had something the aliens did not understand. They were fighting for their home. "Admiral!" his communications officer called out. "Council Fleet Admiral Zenthux is demanding we surrender our ships." Jae Sung smiled. "Tell him he can have them, 1 missile at a time." The council had made a big mistake. They thought humans were weak because they were new to space. They forgot that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. War was something humans understood very well. But the real shock came from the banks and markets. On the financial world of credits, panic filled the trading floors. The Galactic Banking Consortium's computers showed impossible numbers. "How much of our trade depends on humans?" asked Bank Director Kelvon. His assistant's voice shook as he answered. 60% of raw materials, 35% of food production, 47% of manufactured goods. Sir, without humans, half the galaxy will starve in 6 months. The truth was worse than that. Humans had not just provided goods and services, they had become the galaxy's workers, engineers, farmers, and soldiers. Other species had grown lazy, letting humans do the hard work while they made the decisions. Now, the workers were gone. On the research station orbiting Tau Ceti, Dr. Jin-A Lim made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying old council records, looking for information about the Void Hunters. "This is impossible," she whispered, staring at her screen. The records were very old, from before the council was formed. They told the story of a human colony ship called New Horizon that had disappeared 300 years ago. The ship had been carrying 50,000 people to a distant galaxy. According to the records, the ship had been experimenting with new technology when it vanished. The same technology that the Void Hunters now used. "The Void Hunters are human," Jin-A said aloud. "They are us." She sent her discovery to Earth immediately. If this was true, it meant the Council had been at war with evolved humans for decades. It meant everything they knew was wrong. Back on the Council homeworld of Axiom Prime, Speaker Veltaris faced angry representatives from a dozen species. They had discovered what humans provided to the galaxy, and they were not happy. "My people are already going hungry," said Councillor Yethmai, her green skin turning pale with fear. "Human farms feed half my world." "The mining operations on 17 worlds have stopped," added another councillor. "Human engineers ran everything." Veltaris tried to stay calm, but inside he was beginning to understand the magnitude of his mistake. The council had treated humans like servants for 50 years. Now they realized the servants had been holding everything together. "We will force them back," he declared. "Send fleets to every human world. Make them see that they cannot survive without the council." But the fleets met unexpected resistance. Human colonies had been preparing for this day. Hidden weapons, secret alliances, backup plans. Everything the Council had never seen before. On New Geneva Colony, human defenders used the planet's own mining equipment as weapons. Giant drilling machines became mobile fortresses. Mining explosives became ship-killer missiles. The Council ships retreated in confusion. On Harmony Station, a human trade hub, the defenders did something even more surprising. They did not fight at all. Instead, they evacuated the station completely and destroyed it as they left. "Better no station than a council station," said Station Commander Bo-Ra Shin, as she watched her life's work explode in space. The message was clear. Humans would rather destroy what they had built than let the council take it. As the weeks passed, more shocking truths came to light. Human engineers had built most of the council's infrastructure. Human programmers had written the software that ran galactic communications. Human doctors treated patients on hundreds of worlds, and now they were all gone. Trade routes collapsed. Communication networks failed. Hospitals closed. The mighty Galactic Council, rulers of thousands of worlds, began to fall apart without the humans they had treated as junior partners. Some species began to question whether the Council had ever been as powerful as it claimed. Maybe it had just been good at taking credit for human work. On Earth, President Tae-Ho Lee watched reports of the chaos with mixed feelings. He had not wanted to hurt innocent aliens. But he had known this day would come eventually. "Sir," said his aide, "we are getting messages from 17 different species. They want to meet with us privately. They say they are interested in leaving. The council, too." Tae-Ho smiled for the first time in days. "Set up the meetings. It seems we are not as alone as the council thought we would be." The galaxy was changing. The old order was breaking down. And humanity, for the first time in 50 years, was writing its own destiny. 3 months after Earth left the council, the galaxy was falling apart. On the industrial world of Forge Prime, factories sat empty and silent. The alien workers stood outside the gates, unable to understand why nothing worked anymore. "The humans built all of this," said plant manager Kexthor, his tentacles waving in frustration. "How do we make it work without them?" The answer was simple. They could not. Engineer Wansik Bey sat in his office on Earth, watching reports from across the galaxy. He smiled as he read each one. For 30 years he had helped build the Council's infrastructure: roads, power plants, space stations, communication networks. Human engineers had designed and built most of it. But Wansik had been smart. In every system he built, he had hidden a back door, a way to shut things down from far away. The Council had never bothered to learn how their own technology worked. They had just ordered humans to build it and maintain it. Now Wansik was shutting it all down. Communications array on Sector 7. Offline, he said, pressing a button. Transportation network on New Carthage. Offline. Power grid on Industrial. Complex 12. Offline. One by one, the systems that held the galaxy together stopped working. The Council had built their empire on human labor and human knowledge. Without humans, the empire was collapsing. But the biggest shock came from deep space. Captain Hyejin Kang commanded the exploration ship New Hope as it traveled toward the edge of Council space. Earth had sent her to make contact with the mysterious Void Hunters. If Dr. Jin-A Lim was right, these feared enemies were actually evolved humans. "Captain," called her sensor officer, "we are detecting Void Hunter ships. They are surrounding us." Hyejin took a deep breath. "This could be humanity's destruction or their salvation. Open all communication channels," she ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Hyejin Kang of Earth. If you are truly our lost brothers and sisters from the ship New Horizon, please respond. We come in peace." For long minutes, nothing happened. Then space around them began to glow with strange energy. When the light faded, beings of pure energy floated near their ship. They looked almost human, but made of light and thought instead of flesh and blood. A voice spoke in Hyejin's mind, clear as if someone was standing beside her. "We remember the name of our old ship," the voice said. "We remember Earth. We are what humanity became when we transcended physical form. We are the unity." Hyejin felt tears in her eyes. "Why have you been attacking the Council worlds?" "The Council represents everything we learned to hate," the Unity replied. "Rigid thinking, fear of change, the belief that some beings are better than others. We have been trying to force evolution, but perhaps we chose the wrong method." "Come, home with us," Hyejin said. "Help us build something better than the Council." The Unity was quiet for a moment. "We had forgotten what it felt like to hope." "Yes, sister. We will come home." Back on Earth, Dr. Young-Ho Ko was making his own shocking discoveries. Ancient ruins scattered across the galaxy were beginning to wake up. Energy readings that had been dormant for millions of years were suddenly active. "It is like the galaxy is responding to something," he told his research team. "Every site is activating at the same time." His assistant, Dr. Hana Kwan, looked at the data with wonder. "Sir, the energy signatures match human DNA patterns. These ruins are reacting to us." Young-Ho stared at the information. If this was true, it meant humans were connected to the galaxy in ways no one had imagined. Meanwhile, on the Council homeworld, Speaker Veltaris was facing the worst crisis in Council history. 6 more species have declared independence, reported his aide. They are joining something called the Terran Commonwealth. Veltaris's glowing eyes dimmed with exhaustion. The Terran Commonwealth was Earth's new alliance. Unlike the Council, it offered equality to all members. Every species had an equal voice. Every world got to make its own decisions. It was everything the Council was not. "How many have joined this Commonwealth?" Veltaris asked. 23 species so far, sir, and the number grows every day." The truth was that many species had been unhappy with the Council for centuries. They had been forced to follow orders from the older, more powerful species. They had been treated as junior partners, just like humans. Now they saw another choice. Ambassador Kyung-Soo An was on the Saurian homeworld, meeting with Emperor Scaleheart. The Saurians had never joined the Council. They were too proud and too powerful. But they watched with interest as the galaxy changed. "Your species has done something remarkable," the Emperor said, his reptilian eyes gleaming. "You have broken the Council's power without firing a shot." "We are still firing shots when we need to," Kyung-Soo replied. "But we prefer to win with ideas instead of weapons." The Emperor laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Ideas are more dangerous than weapons. The Council is learning that now." On the insect world of Hive Collective, Ambassador Yoonji Song was having a similar conversation with the Queen Mind. "We have watched the Council for 1,000 years, the Queen Mind said through her translator drones. They fear change. They fear growth. They fear anything that threatens their control. What do you think of our Commonwealth? Yunji asked. We think it has potential. The hive mind is interested in joining your alliance. This was huge news. The Hive Collective controlled hundreds of worlds and had technology that rivaled the Council's. If they joined the Commonwealth, it would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. But the Council was not giving up without a fight. Fleet Admiral Zerthkan led the largest Council fleet in history toward Earth. 1,000 ships, armed with the most advanced weapons the galaxy had ever seen. Humans must be taught a lesson, he declared. No species leaves the Council. No species defies our authority. But as his fleet traveled toward Earth, strange things began to happen. Ships reported system failures. Navigation computers crashed. Weapons systems shut down randomly. On Earth, engineer Wansik Bay smiled as he pressed more buttons on his console. Council Fleet Alpha. Main engines offline. Council Fleet Beta. Weapons systems offline. Council Fleet Gamma. Life support at minimum power. The human engineer had spent decades building systems for Council ships, and in every system he had hidden his back doors. The mighty Council fleet limped back to base, defeated by a human, sitting at a desk on Earth. As the months passed, the balance of power shifted completely. The Council shrank as species left to join the Commonwealth. Ancient sites across the galaxy continued to activate, responding to humanity's presence, and most important of all, the evolved humans of the Unity returned to normal space, ready to share their advanced knowledge with their baseline cousins. For the first time in galactic history, the future belonged to those who chose cooperation over control, growth over stagnation, hope over fear. The age of the Galactic Council was ending. The age of the Terran Commonwealth was about to begin. 6 months had passed since Earth left the Council, and the galaxy had become a different place. On the Commonwealth world of New Geneva, species that had never worked together before were building something amazing. Human engineers worked alongside, Saurian architects and hive drones to create the galaxy's first truly integrated city. Administrator Sang-hee Park watched from her office window as the construction continued day and night. 3 months ago, this world had been a simple human colony. Now it was the capital of an alliance that grew stronger every day. "Ma'am," said her assistant, "we have confirmation. The Crystalline Federation has voted to join the Commonwealth. That makes 37 species total." Sang-hee smiled. The Crystalline Federation controlled some of the richest mining worlds in the galaxy. Their decision would make the Council very unhappy. She was right. On Axiom Prime, Speaker Veltaris stared at the reports with growing despair. The Council was bleeding members like a wounded ship losing air. "How many worlds have we lost this month?" he asked his aide. 47 worlds have declared independence. 23 species have left completely. And, sir?" The aide hesitated. "What?" "The Void Hunter attacks have stopped. Completely. Our intelligence suggests they have made an alliance with the humans." Veltaris felt something cold in his chest. The Void Hunters had been the Council's greatest threat for decades. If they were now allied with Earth, the balance of power had shifted beyond repair. What he did not know was how complete that alliance had become. On Earth, Dr. So-Jin Park stood in a laboratory that would have been impossible just months before. Around her, beings of pure energy worked alongside human scientists. The Unity had shared knowledge that advanced human technology by centuries. "The quantum resonance field is stable," reported Unity 7, one of the evolved humans. "Your people? Learn quickly." "We had good teachers," So-Jin replied. "What about the other project?" Unity 7's energy form pulsed with something that might have been excitement. "The precursor sites are responding better than expected. It seems your species carries the correct genetic markers. This was the biggest secret of all." The ancient ruins scattered across the galaxy were not just archaeological sites. They were machines, left behind by the galaxy's original terraformers. And they only responded to one genetic signature: human. Dr. Young-Ho Ko had spent months studying the sites with Unity help. What he discovered changed everything they knew about human history. "We are not newcomers to this galaxy," he told President Tae-Ho Lee in a secret meeting. "Humans have been here before, Millions of years ago, our ancestors seeded this galaxy with life. Then they went into some kind of deep sleep, waiting for the right time to return. And that time is now? Tejo asked. The sites began activating when we left the Council. It is as if the galaxy itself wanted us to be free. On the Council homeworld, the crisis deepened every day. Without human workers, food production had dropped by half. Without human engineers, transportation networks were failing. Without human soldiers, the Council's military was too weak to enforce its will. Emergency sessions were called daily, but they only showed how desperate the situation had become. "We must negotiate with the humans," said Councillor Yethmai. Her people were already rationing food. "Never," Veltaris replied. "The Council does not negotiate with rebels." "Then the Council will starve," Yethmai shot back. "My world depends on human agricultural technology. Without it, millions will die." She was not exaggerating. Human farming methods had fed half the galaxy. Human medical knowledge had cured diseases on hundreds of worlds. Human engineering had built the infrastructure that held civilization together. Now, that knowledge was gone, and the Council was too proud to ask for it back. But some Council species were not too proud. On the trading world of Merchant's Gate, Councillor Hexnal made a secret decision. He sent a coded message to Earth requesting a private meeting. Ambassador Kyung-Soo An met with him in a neutral space station. "My people are suffering," Hexnal admitted. "The Council's pride will kill millions. We want to join your Commonwealth." "You are welcome," Kyung-Soo replied. "But you understand what this means? The Council will consider you traitors." "The Council already considers us servants," Hexnal said. "At least with humans, we will be partners." This conversation was happening all across the galaxy. Species that had been Council members for centuries were quietly reaching out to Earth. They offered trade agreements, military alliances, and shared technology. The Commonwealth was becoming more powerful than the Council had ever been. Meanwhile, Fleet Admiral Sang-Woo Park commanded the combined Commonwealth Unity Fleet as it patrolled the galaxy. The ships were a mix of human engineering and evolved human energy technology. They were faster and more powerful than anything the Council could build. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving a distress call from the Gentle Tide system. Council forces are attacking a Commonwealth relief convoy." Sang-Woo's eyes hardened. The relief convoy was carrying food and medicine to a world suffering from the collapse of Council infrastructure. "All ships, set course. For Gentle Tide. Maximum speed." The battle was over before it began. Council ships were designed to fight other physical vessels. They had no defense against Unity energy beings who could phase through solid matter and disable systems from the inside. The Council fleet surrendered without firing a shot. But the real shock came when the precursor sites began to activate in sequence. Dr. Young-Ho Ko watched from the research station orbiting the oldest known site. Energy readings were off the charts as the ancient machines came to life. "What are they doing?" asked his assistant. "Sending a message," Young-Ho replied, staring at the data. "A message to every world in the galaxy." The message was simple but impossible to ignore. Holographic displays appeared in the sky above every major city. They showed the history of the galaxy, how it had been seeded with life by an ancient race, how that race had gone into hibernation, and how they had left guardians to watch for their return. The guardians were human. The message explained that humans were the descendants of the original terraformers. They had been scattered across the galaxy when their ancestors went to sleep. Now they had awakened and reclaimed their role as the galaxy's guides. The Council tried to dismiss the message as human propaganda, but the evidence was overwhelming. Ancient texts, genetic markers, energy signatures, everything pointed to the same truth. Humans were not newcomers to galactic civilization. They were its rightful inheritors. This revelation changed everything. Species that had looked down on humans suddenly realized they owed their existence to human ancestors. Worlds that had been terraformed by ancient humans saw their skies light up with welcoming energy. On Axiom Prime, Speaker Veltaris watched his empire crumble. Half the Council had left to join the Commonwealth. The other half was too weak to maintain order. His aide brought him the final report. "Sir, the Andromedan exploratory fleet has launched from Earth. They are leading an expedition beyond our galaxy, with representatives from 43 species. Veltaris closed his glowing eyes. The humans were not just inheriting his galaxy, they were expanding beyond it. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of human guidance had begun. And across the galaxy, on worlds where humans had never set foot, ancient machines began to sing with welcome songs, celebrating the return of their creator's children. 1 year after Earth left the Galactic Council, everything had changed. Navigator Hai Wan Yung stood on the bridge of the exploration ship, Infinite Dream, as it prepared to leave the galaxy. Behind her, the largest fleet in galactic history waited for her signal. Ships from 50 different species, all working together under human leadership. "Navigation systems ready," reported her officer. "Unity guides are in position. Destination, Andromeda Galaxy." Haywan looked at the star map one more time. They were about to make the longest journey any living being had ever attempted, and they were doing it together. "All ships, begin jump. Sequence," she ordered. Space twisted around them as the fleet disappeared into the space between galaxies. On Earth, President Tae-ho Lee watched the departure from his office. It was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Humanity had gone from being servants of the Council to leaders of the galaxy in just 1 year. "Sir," said his secretary, Ms. Yun-hee Nam, "Speaker Veltaris is here to see you." Tae-ho was surprised. The former council leader had not left his homeworld since the Commonwealth was formed. Veltaris entered the office looking very different from the proud being who had once ruled the galaxy. His glowing eyes were dim with exhaustion and defeat. "I have come to ask for mercy," he said without ceremony. Tae-ho gestured to a chair. "Please, sit down." "My people are starving," Veltaris continued. "Our infrastructure has collapsed. The few species still loyal to the Council cannot support each other. We need help." "Why come to me?" Tae-ho asked. "A year ago you said humans would face the Void Hunters alone. You said we would be enemies of the galaxy." Veltaris was quiet for a long moment. "I was wrong. About everything. Humans were never our servants. You were our partners, and we were too proud to see it." Tae-ho studied the alien's face. There was real pain there, real regret. "What do you want from me?" "Let my people join your Commonwealth, not as rulers, not as equals to start with, but as members who must earn their place. We will follow human leadership until we prove we can be trusted." This was the last thing Tae-ho had expected. The proud speaker of the Galactic Council was asking to be ruled by humans. "I need to discuss this with the Commonwealth Council," Tae-ho said. "But I will tell you this. We do not believe in permanent punishment. Everyone deserves a chance to grow." 3 days later, the Commonwealth Council met on New Geneva. Representatives from 50 species gathered to decide the fate of their former oppressors. Some wanted revenge. The Council had treated many species badly for centuries. "They made us servants," said Representative Kothvar of the mining collective. "Why should we show mercy?" But others remembered the Commonwealth's founding principles. "We are not the Council," said Representative Hive 7. "We do not rule through fear and punishment. We lead through hope and cooperation." In the end, the vote was unanimous. The former Council species would be welcomed into the Commonwealth, but they would start as probationary members. They would have to prove they had learned from their mistakes. The ceremony was held on Earth, in the same building where the United Nations had once met. Veltaris knelt before President Tae-ho Lee and formally surrendered the authority of the Galactic Council. "I transfer all remaining council power to the Terran Commonwealth," he said. "May you use it more wisely than we did." Tae-ho helped him. "Stand. Wisdom comes from learning from mistakes, not from never making them. Welcome to the Commonwealth, friend." The galaxy watched as former enemies became allies. It was a moment that would be remembered for thousands of years, but the biggest changes were still to come. Dr. Young-ho Ko's research into the precursor sites had revealed something amazing. The ancient machines were not just archaeological curiosities. They were a network that connected the entire galaxy, and they were designed to help guide evolution and growth. The original terraformers.